Hi, my name is Leng Chai Hui. My project presentation is on drug abusers and drug-related crime landscape in Singapore. Let's see what can the data tell us about Singapore drug problem. This is an overview of drug-related crimes across Asia. Despite being known as one of the world's safest countries, the choroplast graph here shows that Singapore is surrounded by a Southeast Asia country with darker shades that represent a higher drug-related crime density. From 2018 to 2022, Singapore actually recorded approximately 11,559 drug-related crimes. Here, we see the composition of drug seizures by drug type in East and Southeast Asia using this tree map, where the cannabis plant and plant-based new psychoactive substance make up more than 60% of drug seizures, followed by methamphetamine at 13%. This could be due to cannabis is really easily cultivated in tropical climate in Southeast Asia and the recent legalization of cannabis in Thailand. Now we zoom into Singapore using two pie chart. On the left-hand side, we see that past 4 years, methamphetamine is the most abused drug at 55.5%, followed by heroin at 31.4%. While on the right-hand side, we see cannabis abuse became the second largest portion at 15.6% among new users, comparing the overall drug abusers at 7.2%. The stacked area chart here shows the trend of new versus repeated drug abuser from 2003 to 2024. There's a sharp increase of number of drug abusers from 2005 to 2008. At this time, there is a rise in synthetic chemical drugs circulating in Singapore, like methamphetamine, as they are cheaper and easily produced. Secondly, we observe a decline since 2019, which overlapped with a key milestone, which is the introduction of Misuse of Drug (MDA) Amendment Act 2019, which imposed mandatory minimum imprisonment of 1 year. Using this linear interpolation, we're able to project 2025 to have total drug abusers exceeding 3,000 due to the recent increased popularity of K-pops among youngsters. Now, we see how different type of group of drug offences varies by age group using this heat map. For age group above 20, drug-related offence is the highest convicted panel in Singapore. Let's look at how drug abuser trends changes over time from different age group. Is the number of drug abusers growing among Singapore youth? This blue bar chart compares the new and repeated drug abuser across different age group. We can see that the 20 to 29 age group is the most affected for both categories. However, repeated abuse become more common with the older age group, showing how addiction can persist over time. This group chart tracks the new drug abuser for different age group over the year. As expected, the new drug abuser mainly comprises of youth in the age group below 29, who are the group of people more likely to try new things, in this case using drugs. This lowest move line chart here compares the youth abuser below 29 in blue and the adult abuser above 29 in red, where the new abuser is represented with solid line and the repeated abuser is represented with dotted line. We can see that the adult repeated drug users stand out in 2018 as it is the only group that's showing upward trend from the number of abusers. Comparing the male and female drug abuser using this violin plot here shows that male abusers still form the majority with 88.6% for repeated user and 79.5% on new drug abusers. However, one thing to note is that the larger proportion of female abusers fall under the new drug abuse category at 20.5%, while fewer become repeated offenders. To see the ethnic group composition of drug abusers in Singapore, we use this stacked bar chart here. In the early 2000s, Chinese abusers made up of majority with about 60% in 2003. By 2024, this figure had dropped to around 30%. Meanwhile, the proportion of Malay abusers increases from 25% to nearly 50% in recent years. After understanding the landscape of drug abusers in Singapore, let's see how this affects the drug-related offences. Using the scatter plot here, partitioned by country region, there is a positive correlation observed between the country total drug-related offences and the prevalence of drug use. But this correlation can be skewed by the country law enforcement. Example, some less developed country may have less law enforcement attention. In such, having lower prevalence of drug use in the country is very important in reducing drug-related crime. Finally, let's take a look at Singapore public perception on the current anti-drug policy. From the survey conducted by Ministry of Home Affairs, most respondents are showing strong support in government drug-related law and keeping Singapore drug-free. However, on the view of punishment for drug traffickers, 12.2% respondents disagree on the death penalty for drug traffickers, which has always been a debate in Singapore. With that, I concluded my presentation. I hope this visualization helped with the understanding of pattern of drug abuser landscape in Singapore.